welcome to this special episode of the Data Differentiator. It's brought to you by ETCIO in association with IBM. Today's conversation is titled Built on Trust, Data Foundations for Responsible AI. As industries embrace AI to drive innovation, there's one undeniable truth. There is no AI without data, and there's no responsible AI without responsible data. At the heart of every AI model is an invisible foundation that's made of architecture, governance, transparency, and security. In India and globally, regulatory frameworks are catching up. Whether it is the EU AI Act or the RBI, SEBI, and IRDAI's mandate around data governance and risk management. Now, organizations need to ask themselves one question, which is, are our data systems ready for responsible AI? And to explore that question, we have with us an esteemed panel of experts. Please join me in welcoming and allow me to introduce them. We have with us Mr. Arun Mittal, who is the Chief Risk Officer at ICICI Prudential Pension Fund. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. Also join me in welcoming Mr. Gyan Pandey, who is the Chief Digital Officer at Voltas. Thank you, sir, for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Also welcome Mr. Vishal Bhatia, who is the Chief Digital Officer at Canara Bank. Hello, thank you for joining us. We have with us from our knowledge partner IBM, Mr. Siddhesh Naik, who is the country leader for data and AI, India and South Asia. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
And a very warm welcome to all our panelists today. Together, we will be delving deep into the building blocks of responsible data. To start us off, let me go across to Mr. Bhatia. Sir, according to you, what are the most critical building blocks when it comes to modern data architecture that are non-negotiable?
See, we are in the age of AI, and responsible AI will work when the data is correct. And what you feed to AI, what are the models being run, is then only the AI will also respond accurately or responsibly. So there are certain non-negotiable data governance architecture which is there. First is a data governance policy should be there at an organization level, followed by the catalog of data is must, because then only you can ensure the data is being used across the multiple on the lake, warehouse, streams and the APIs. Now, those are the foundation block, but followed by why data is important. Data is important of the data quality, because end of the day, it is more quality of the data, because every decision made in real-time monitoring, what are the next steps you do, has to be qualified quality. It's also very important that the data is complete. It has to be accurate, plus it has to be complete. It has to give a 360 review of the particular identity, whether it is a retail customer, it's a merchant customer, it's a corporate customer. You should try to give a accurate information of the data with the single source of truth. It should not happen at multiple systems, multiple sources. There is different varieties of data. It has to be single source of truth. So data quality is must. Based on the data quality with the single source of truth, completeness, then only trust will happen with the data. Because the underlying is the trust of the data. So the data quality followed by the trust. Then comes is the scalability. As the system is growing, business is growing exponentially. As you know, we are in the very much, India is in the one of the good juncture of the growth phase. And all the organization, including the BFSI and all the economies is growing. So a lot of data is more insightful, more data is growing. So we have to ensure our platforms are scalable, resilient, and able to take relevant decision making and all. Then more important is the intelligence, where the AI plays a very critical role on the intelligent part, how you're able to get insights of the pattern, how you're able to give the best offer to the customer, because now the customer needs are not general, their needs are the personalized. So how I can apply intelligence layer over the data, once it is quality data, trustworthy data, scalability, how I'll apply the real-time monitoring of the data with personalized information and able to engage customer. All this is needed for engaging customer, increase my business, because at the end of the day, I have to increase my business. I have to grow the business with the minimum cost and ensure the compliance and the risk part being taken care. So these are, I would say, are the minimum for the non-crucial factors for us.
Absolutely, the crucial and non-negotiables
Non-negotiable
for
item.
data. So I think that's absolutely right. You took us through all the foundational blocks. Every data or AI model has this invisible foundation, which has architecture, it has data, there's security, there's governance, and you took us through all of that very beautifully. I'll take that across to you, Mr. Pandey. What do you feel, in your view, are some essentials that we need to keep in mind when building data?
First of all, thank you very much for having in this
Thank
panel,
you so
and I'm
much.
really enlightened to be the part of this esteemed
Thank
panel.
you.
While continue what Vishal says in terms of the building blocks and
Mm.
non-negotiable factors in terms of the building the data architecture to have a responsible data leading to the responsible AI. I just would like to add couple of things. For example, when we talk about data quality, Vishal did talk about the accuracy of the data.
Mhm.
Along with that, we also need to ensure the timeliness of the data,
Mhm.
because if the data is delayed, maybe probably the decision making will not be proper, or the analytics coming out of that will
Mhm.
not be that right insightful things. Second part is the in terms of the access control. We talked about the data governance, the policies. We talked about the data storage and how it can be scalable using this new technologies and all. We also talked about data quality part, which
Mhm.
is very important. Uh, this part of the data access also you need to keep in mind as the part of your security. So when you come to security, is a more on the tech side, where you do the data classifications, you identify whether it is a public, private, general, confidential, sensitive. But data access is also very important, because who needs what, and he should be given only the minimal data.
Mhm.
It could be role based access or it could be attribute based access. That is one important part we need to have. Metadata structure and the lineage of the data.
Mhm.
The lineage of the data means the complete traceability, right from the source and from where it is coming, the transformation, and then bringing to the semantic layer where the uses by the business user could happen,
Mhm.
because that creates the trust and the confidence to the business users, how they can leverage this data to take the right decisions. I think these are a few of the things which I will add to that.
So you mentioned a very important point about the controls, about the access, who gets access to what data. I think that's very important, and we will be exploring that in detail further in this conversation. But before that, I do want to take in a word from Siddhesh. Mr. Naik, you have a vantage point at IBM. Do tell us, from your perspective, what are the non-negotiables when it comes to building blocks of data?
In fact, Vishal and Gyan very beautifully put it. It starts with laying the AI ready data foundation. Junk in, garbage in, garbage out, right?
Absolutely.
So how do I create a foundation that becomes an AI ready data foundation? It starts right from collecting all data from the data sources, the ETL that you're going to put in, the ability to scale. Vishal very beautifully put it. You start small, but you've got to have an ability of the platform to scale at an unprecedented level. As the data governance come in, how do I bring in all the auto curation capabilities, right from discovery of data to classifying that data to the sensitive information that Gyan spoke about? How do I identify the sensitive information, the redaction part, the encryption part that comes in, the aspects of business policies? How do I enforce and have a management of policies across? It could be policies which are regional policies. Vishal, your organization operates in multiple geographies. There are geographical legal requirements that come in, statutory requirements that come in. So how do you enforce that across the organization? The next aspect that again Vishal alluded to is the active metadata that you're going to manage across the data. And all of this is taking it to the next step on how do I lower the center of gravity of consumption of data? How do I create it as a self-service data consumption across the organization? I think that is what becomes the starting step. The other aspect that becomes very, very critical is you're not making it very, very data lake or warehouse centric. It is an enterprise wide scenario that you're talking about, because now you're enforcing this data governance across the enterprise. Same is true with the lineage part that Gyan you spoke about. The lineage part is not just at the lake level, but even at the consumption level. There is a lot of transformation that's happening at the consumption level. So how do I have a lineage which is an end-to-end lineage that comes in? So yeah.
So it's very important what Siddhesh and Gyanji mentioned. The data will be used at multiple purposes, whether you say transaction data, payment data, customer data, or the next best offer, cross-sell. So it's very important how to do the reusability of the data, because you can't do again reinvent the same wheel. So you have to reuse the data. Then how well put a quality matrix of that data, because this data is qualified as per the matrix which is there, and then I can reuse for multiple purposes. That helps in multiple areas in terms of saving the cost. Plus the same data pipeline has been used across multiple business cases what we have. So those are also non-negotiable, which has to be considered as part of this.
Absolutely, and that's why we have the enterprise catalog,
Agree.
which as well we will be delving into very soon. Before that, I also want to get in a word from Mr. Mittal.
Yes.
I'm sure you ask this all the time, but with regulators such as RBI, SEBI, IRDAI, casting a closer look now at data governance and data security, how can organizations balance the need for compliance along with a robust innovation that helps your AI innovation?
Yeah, so my friends has already covered most of it. What is required, what is not required. So I think few of the things which I look from a CRO angle is first of all is the data should be traceable from where it is coming, from which pipeline it is coming. Then who is the accountability need to be set there, like who is accountable for this data, from which team this is coming, or from which source it is coming. So that is very, very important. Then it should be easy to explain, if say somebody is auditing the data, or say regulator is coming and asking you about the data, how you are arriving at certain output using your AI module. So it should be quite
Explainable.
Transparent.
Yeah, it should be transparent and explainable. Then I also if I look from CRO angle, then you should have a mechanism where you can find out the exceptions in the data.
Anomalies.
So if your system is good enough to find any anomaly in the data, then it will be great. Then like every country or every regulator have their own set of regulations, and now since MITI, telecom industry, NITI Aayog is coming up a lot of guidelines, and all the regulators are coming up with cybersecurity guidelines. Data protection law is coming. So it is all the most important that we should have a view of what is required in terms of compliance perspective, and we should look at what data we should capture in our AI module, what should be deleted, by what time it should be deleted. So that all those things need to be looked from compliance perspective, and your data is auditable so that you can get it audited time to time. So I think that's from the CRO perspective what should be a good AI looks like.
A strong eye on multiple variables there, sir. Also, when it comes to AI, what do you think is holding back many potential use cases? And what are the roadblocks to this that companies such as perhaps IBM can help alleviate?
No, I think there is no point of holding it back. It just we need to look at the various regulations, the compliances which we have to do. And I think a lot of act is coming, government is coming up with the regulations, and I think we are at a good stage now, where in next 2-3 years we'll be like having the digital guidelines, the AI guidelines, cyber security guidelines is also there. MITI has also come up with a consultation paper which is there with the stakeholders. So a lot of things is happening in AI, and government is quite proactive on that part. So we should be looking. And as a layman, if I look at, and we already know what to be done. The data has to be clear. If a good data will give you good results, it should not be biased. In terms of getting the personal detail capturing, we should be quite vigilant about it. What the regulators allow us, what not. Then till what age we can keep the data, what age we not. Then how we can protect the customer PI information, or the employees PI information. So all those things we already know. It's just if we try to inculcate all of that into our AI modeling, I think we will be good to go. There is no point of holding it back.
Absolutely.
Just I'll add,
Sure.
because it's very important on the BFSI and other areas. See, you can't run AI unless until you have a right data with the data lake or data warehouse at your organization level. Secondly, you need a lot of compute power, whether you say LLM or you say the compute, the advanced, what are the Gemini, OpenAI models which have come. But it's also very important for us, considering the DPTP Act, plus not sharing the PI information outside our organization. So it's very important organizations have to invest on the private cloud, followed by the private data lake or what are the data layer, where IBM and other organizations will play a critical role in that, and then followed by private AI. Because for us, it is AI use case has to run and give benefit. For us, it does not matter whichever model it is, whether it is OpenAI, LLMs, or Gemini, or any other. For us, is matter is I should have a flexibility because data is mine.
Yes.
Data is owned by the organization. I should run the data on my compute on a private cloud or data center, followed by what are the models are there, where surely IBM and with their extensive experience like Watsons and all are there, will be able to add a lot of value, how to speed up our AI case directly to the production. So these are the where we can collaborate with the best in industry leaders and then take it forward.
Well, yes, indeed. At BFSI, you have this unique predicament where you need to now start personalizing because customers expect a rich experience, but at the same time, more than ever, they're concerned about their data. So you need to vault the PII. And I'll take in a word now from you, Mr. Naik, on how are you assuring and dealing with these concerns?
When enterprises need to move from pilots to production, I would encapsulate that, and both Vishal and Arun alluded to some of them. The first one I think is about the data foundation itself. How do I lay a strong data foundation to start my journey on? In fact, most enterprises took the reverse journey. They went in like headless chicken. There was a wow factor around the whole GenAI and agentic AI. But unless you've laid the data foundation, the data governance, you are not able to scale. So how do I lay that first data foundation? The next piece that comes in is about laying it as a strategy and it getting accepted within the organization. And this is a top-down approach. I'm sure each one of you have experienced it. How does it get operationalized? It's not about the pilot, it's not about the wow factor, but what does it mean? The business outcome that Vishal, you spoke about, right? What does it mean for my business? How do I get that in place? The next piece, which is very, very critical, is the aspect of hybrid. And this is critical because AI runs where the data is. Moving that data to multiple places and running that AI there is not a very, very efficient model. So how do I run AI where the data lies? So the whole hybrid, there are pieces that will run on the hyperscalers, there are pieces that will run on-premise. How does that whole piece coexist becomes a very, very critical thing. The next aspect, I would say, that's holding back AI from going to the next level is what you call as the AI governance. How do I bring in AI that can be trusted, that can be a responsible AI in totality? I think that becomes a critical aspect. Last but not the least is the ROI of all of this, right? The aspect of what am I investing in and what is the return I get out of it. As long as the CIOs, the CROs, the CXOs are able to justify to their boards saying this is making sense and this is the kind of return I can get out of it, the business benefit that I think these are the elements which are critical for moving from the pilot stage to a AI at scale in the enterprise.
Absolutely. I've taken a word from Mr.
May I add,
Mittal. Oh, yes.
Just,
yes,
I think it's
Sure.
beautifully summarized by Siddhesh and Arun and Vishal also have said on this. But one thing which I would like to add, the industry, manufacturing industry, and compared to the BFSI or maybe telecom, which is far more regulated, their data journey has started a decade back and they are far more organized. But if I take manufacturing industry, there has been time when they started leveraging data without having any idea or any plan to have a data foundation. So maybe as Siddhesh said that, okay, we just jumped into that just like a headless chicken, where you got inspired by when the ChatGPT came and you started using this. Then you started realizing that, okay, where your data is going and how we are leveraging it. This is one very fundamental thing that in manufacturing, there has been BI, there has been data warehouses. Then you started thinking of your unstructured data. Then you brought the data lake, and there had been in every manufacturing industry, there will be a lot of data duplications, data lying at the multiple places, same data. And there could be also the different versions of data. I think it is very fundamental to move to your AI journey, to have this data foundation architecture be put in very solidly along with the data governance and all, which we talked about as the first things which we discussed. And second part, which is on the ROI part. And third also is that, okay, there is a lot of aspirations in the top. When the CIOs or the CDOs, they also try to do the pilot. But when it comes to moving to the production, it's not only ROI, they are also a little confused about the data quality and data governance. So these are some of the underlying things within the landscape or within the infrastructure, which is holding back. Let's say if there is a mandate that we have to start using AI on the customer experience, but infrastructure wise, or maybe from data governance, or maybe security wise, we are not still ready. So these are, if we address our data foundation properly, if we bring this modern architecture, the governance, security, accessibility, probably this journey could become easier. Compliances and all the regulatory things would become easier. We are, I mean, most of the companies, manufacturing companies and even other sectors, we are doing the things in parallel, and there is a little bit of crisscross, but I think over a period it will get addressed, and it has to be addressed in order to move forward.
Absolutely. And from the point of view of the ROI on the projects that we do, the AI or the software that we get, which ensures data security, from a risk perspective, how do you view these investments? Because I'm sure, security is invaluable, but the number on that is difficult to put.
No, so again, looking at, the regulations which are there or coming up, like DPDP is coming up, and there are hefty fines. From a CRO view, it is, always, you will always look from risk side, what can go wrong? And there are a lot of governance around it. So once you ensure that, it is purely governed by, the teams which putting up the data, and you are 100% sure, then only, as a risk officer, I can say, we should go ahead with this. If I see the results, they are coming out properly, there should not be any biases in it. It should be, like what regulator should not come up tomorrow and question me on that part. Then I'm, okay, going with it. Otherwise, from a CRO lens, it is not easy to go ahead with, without looking at it thoroughly.
It's a tough task for you.
Just to add
Yes.
what sir is saying. See, you can't measure ROI on data security because data security is hygiene. You can't, there's no option any organization has customer data to get misused. So, as part of the data governance framework, data security is taken as a hygiene. Now, how you will do it? That is a way where the guidelines are there, where you try to implement it. The guidelines are there to have to ensure the data at transit as well as on the rest, both are encrypted. At best algorithms are AES 256 as well as TLS 23, which every organization ensures does it. Plus, when the audit happens, everything, they ensure these are the guidelines. Now, more sophisticated technology has come is on the quantum cryptography, which we have to apply to be ensure that the future also we are ready on those data which is safe. Secondly, we have to have best-in-class data leakage prevention platforms to ensure our data is safe and there's no leakage is happening. We have put a lot of internal guidelines are there that data classification, as sir also mentioned, that the data has to be classified, and we have to ensure that right access controls are there for the people who are having the data access, and we have to ensure right rules, patterns based on our understanding, learnings from the experts, auditors. We put that tool, and if there's any anomaly, we should review the policy, modify the policy, and ensure that the future gets prevented. And if there's a breach, we should find out the loophole, root cause, and fix it. And then also update to the stakeholders that this is what has happened, so that we avoid the future what is happening. And now with the DPTP is very important, this data security and others is, the consent framework has to be there at an organization level. And based on that consent only, you can store what data is there and you can use the data for whatever the purpose. And there will be a need. You have to you have to guide customer, because also customer has to be aware about this consent framework and tell customer this data is being used for this purpose only. Then only you are able to ensure that the data is safe and secure.
Absolutely. Consent framework and the controls have to be in the hand of the user as well. So you want to make a point?
Just wanted to add only one point, I think very well summarized by Vishal and as well as Arun, in terms of how we are going to justify the ROI of the AI.
Yes.
Right. I think one very important aspect is that we have to look at, in order to address some of the compliances, we are using the data with the AI. Now we need to see that if there is a non-compliance, what is the cost of non-compliance? Is the cost of non-compliance is far more higher than what we are investing for the compliance? That is a one metrics we can look at this. Second, as Vishal says that, okay, the data security is hygiene, but again, the data security at what level? Now different organizations and different sectors will have, it's a journey and the maturity. Now with the act like DPDP, if it is coming, you do not know your PII data is spread at what level, not internally, but with a lot of your data processors. In that case, managing without some solutions which is leveraged on the AI, it is, I think, impossible. You need to build that kind of and adopt that kind of technology in order to have a proper control, and also to have the flexibility to comply with. Let's say if the consent is given, and if the data subjects is want to revoke the consent, are you going to completely erase those data and restrict that is not going to be used for the purpose what he has given? This can be brought in, and this visibility can be brought in only through using some tools which is run by the AI. If you want to do it humanly, it is impossible. That means if you want to comply, you have to invest on these AI-related tools. Yes.
That's very interesting perspective there. So on one hand, we talk about the difficulty to adopt AI because of compliance, and now it's become the stage where in order to be compliant, we need these AI tools that have become essential. Mr. Bhatia, you were talking about the controls. What sort of controls can be put in place so that the business users or the individual users have access to the data they require without compromising on the enterprise data?
See,
Security.
Yeah, is a good question, and the point is, what is minimum data, least access data, what the business needs, we have to provide. Secondly, there is certain data which is publicly available for them to run the business. Like we do geospatial analysis of all our branches, which gives us the lead information. The lead information is public, is the information which we've got. We share with our branches for them to engage with the customers and get it. Now, if it is a particular customer information, so based on what are the consent we have got in those areas, based on the next best offer, we engage the customer whenever we over the call or when it comes to the branches, we engage the customer and give that information. But for us, we have to see, is it whenever it is a growing business, internally information available, we ensure there is only information is available internally, and the access is there based on their access controls, and based on that they communicate with the customer, take next best discussions with them. And what end of the day, we feel we are the financial partner of the customer. Secondly, we are a trusted, banking is a trusted engagement, right? So we have to ensure that the trust is maintained between both the customer and the banking business enterprise. And what best we do is we ensure the real-time information is available to our businesses, our all stakeholders, so that when they connect with the customer, they are able to give a holistic view or what are the solutions they have to offer, or the product or any service, sales, everything to them. So that is what we ensure.
Correct. So that the customer gets the best service, they get the best offers, while also making sure that their data is absolutely secure. Mr. Mittal, would you like to weigh in on this?
Yeah, I think, the data trust now, people are, they are worried about their personal data. So it's very, very important that, you build that trust with the customer, that your data is safe with us and we are not using it, for the other purposes.
Correct.
So it's very, very important now. If somebody is coming me to buy one product, it doesn't mean I'll transfer that data to other group companies or, other teams in my company, and they will also cross sell their product. So that's not a good thing. And I think DP is going to restrict this also. Again, you mentioned about consent. It is very, very important that we should take consent, and the data should be, going into the limited hands on the need basis. If there is no need and if the governance is not allowing to use the data, it should not be going to that team or that company. So it's very, very important, and that's how we are able to build trust in the coming years using AI.
Absolutely.
Also, now we have put controls. It's not only business. Data can be accessed by business plus the backend people and operation people also, right? So what we have put control is that the print of the data should not be available. You can't do, the files are secured, encrypted. APIs are secured and encrypted, so that there is nobody can transfer the data outside, which is the PI information. Secondly, the data which is at database level, which is at rest, we ensure that it is encrypted. So that even though somebody wants to retrieve the data, still is not able to retrieve the data. So the misuse of information is not there possible.
Internal
security perspective which is there. So that ensures that the data is safe across all the layers, where it is stored, where it is being used, and only with the trust, so that we can give comfort to our customers, regulators, that we have taken all precautions, everything there to ensure the data is there, and that is as part of the guidelines. Every audit, this is one of the important criteria which reviews as well.
That's a very important point you made about the comfort that the customer gets from the reassurance provided by your transparency in your methods and how the data is being handled and how it's being stored. So I believe you wanted to make a point.
I just want to add, Vishal and Arun both have put all the points, and which comes out at that you need to give this right data to the right person
Yes.
for the right time.
Yes.
So duration is also important. And there are the other elements which Vishal talked about, that how you are going to build that, be it the role-based access control, attribute access control, be the data being masked or maybe encrypted at rest or in motion, and then how that data can be given internally and externally for the uses. I think over and above this, one part is very important is the audit and the compliances. Because when this kind of things comes, it gives back the message back to the customer that the purpose for which the data has been given and for which I have given the consent, these measures are giving them the confidence back that okay, it is used for the same purpose. Because internally how it is being used, a customer have no knowledge, and these kind of compliances only gives him the confidence back. So if there is any breach or anomaly, how that can be proactively detected and how that measure can be taken to stop that impact of that. And the moment you bring that confidence to the customer in terms of whether with your audit report or in terms of to a large extent the lineage and transparency, this gives the confidence back and this promotes that okay, the usage of the data in a proper way.
I also want to quickly delve into enterprise catalogs and especially how they enable the reuse of curated data in AI projects. And you mentioned this, sir, briefly. Would you like to elaborate on this?
Sure. Look, I think every organization, CIOs, CTOs, CDOs, and even at the organization level, data catalog is one thing which everybody is trying to use it. Now, I will take a step back from before coming to data catalog. I think the one very important thing is that how we can build trust and generate confidence to start using the data. And we talked about the data foundations, we talked about the data architecture and all. That's the one part. The second part is the transparency and traceability, the entire data lineage. And if you have this transparency and traceability, in case of the single source of truth, this gives you the confidence to the business user or whosoever is consuming the data for the purpose what is required. It gives them the confidence, right? This is the right data from the right source, from the right rules followed and being transformed. And what happens that over a period, because this data journey has started right from the days when the EDPs were there, then the ERPs came, CRM came, and then you have all the new modern technology and everything we talk about the data. Every transactions and every activity in the life what we do is based on data. So data is become paramount. Now when the data become paramount, there is a lot of cases you'll find the data duplicity happen. Data redundancy happens. And this is not only a cost, but also creates the ambiguity to the data consumer, whether I'm getting the right updated information which will help me to take decisions or insights are correct. Enterprise catalog will help, and the modern tools on the enterprise catalogs, right from the source, what data we are taking, how you are cleansing, how you are unifying, how you are transforming it, how you are mapping to the different data assets of the enterprise, and then bringing it that how it can be utilized for the different business purposes or based on the different data consumer needs. This enterprise catalogs also ensures the reuses of that, because we will come out of the lot of burden of having the data at the multiple places. This is the governance will fail, and the most important part, that the purpose for which you are leveraging the data, that essence of insight will be not very confident. So if you start using this kind of enterprise catalog tools, it gives you the potential to start leveraging the reuse of the data, which gives you the confidence and also the trust back. And this also helps the adoption of the AI better.
Absolutely. And it cuts down on time and effort as well. Mr. Naik, I'll ask that to you about data lineage and the access to controls and especially the catalogs as well. Your overview on that from IBM.
So I think Gyan covered it very beautifully. One of the aspects I'll bring in is technology platform-wise. The platforms have made very significant progress in terms of how you can get into auto curation of all of these elements, right? Your ability to auto discover data, auto catalog data, the business terms that you're bringing in, the whole glossary that you're bringing in. If I go 5 years back, you really needed an army of domain experts to bring in the business glossary aspects. Now how it's evolved over time, the amount of effort that goes in building this is significantly reduced, and there is a platform approach to get to all of this. I want to touch upon the second aspect of your question, which was the controls part, and our esteemed panelist covered most aspects of it. Let me quickly attempt to put it into three broad categories.
Sure.
The one aspect is the data security aspect, which we alluded to, the aspects of DPDP, the whole consent management, consent for a purpose, consent withdrawal. How do I withdraw that consent across the downstream applications and the agencies that we share with, those aspects that go in. The second aspect that comes in is the AI governance aspect. Now, when I talk about AI governance, I would broadly classify it under three pillars. The first one being risk, right? When I talk of risk, how do I prevent bias, a gender bias, caste bias? Now, if there is an ombudsman complaint in a bank, the onus is on the bank to demonstrate how there has been no bias, right? So how do I prevent bias? How do I bring in explainability? It cannot be a black box that gives an outcome. How is there? Arun spoke about the explainability part. How do I prevent drift? You start with something, your data sets keep changing. You land up with something very different from what was intended to in the beginning, right? So how do I measure it as a platform becomes very, very critical. As the GenAI piece and the agentic AI piece comes in, how do I prevent hallucination? Now, hallucination in the enterprise context is defined as how much of it is contained within the enterprise data content that exists. And you have thresholds defined. You can stop it as a guardrail, even from the AI tool or the chatbot responding back to the client as a guardrail then and there. How do I prevent profanity? How do I prevent hate profile? How do I prevent PI information from getting abused, both at an input layer and an output layer perspective? So those are elements which become the risk layer. In fact, we take an approach where we call it the risk atlas. There are 69 areas of risk depending on which domain, which area you're working on. How do you identify what are the risks and how do you try and mitigate those risks is an approach. So that becomes the risk pillar. The second pillar is around the compliance pillar, the statutory and the regulatory aspects, right? There is a European Union AI Act, which is there. There is a mighty AI Act that's doing the initial rounds of discussions with the industry experts. There is an RBI model validation draft that is out there. There is some elements of the GenAI piece that will come in as well. So how do I have a platform approach to all the clauses that exist there? How do you, so you can't have the data scientist worry about, am I meeting those 39 clauses of the AI Act that's come in? How do I have a platform approach to all of those aspects that are there from a compliance and the statutory perspective? So that becomes the second pillar. The third pillar is around process governance. So even in today's times, when a credit risk model, so let's say there are 300 credit risk models that a bank runs, RBI picking up one model and your ability to demonstrate that governance has been adhered to, there is no bias through the life cycle of the model, is a piece that comes in. So all of these three pillars. Now, the new animal that's come in, which is the agentic AI piece, right? How do I bring in all the agentic ops that is required? First is, how do I discover all the agentic piece? And it's not just the models and the AI that you're creating. There is embedded AI that is coming in with a lot of these application vendors as well. How do I first trace it? How do I monitor it? How do I have a traceability of all the actions that get taken? And how do I govern and manage this whole environment becomes a very, very critical pillar. So that's the second piece, which the first was data security. The second is AI governance. The third piece is AI security. Now, how do I do a penetration testing, the pen test of all the AI that I run in my organization? How do I do a vulnerability test? How do I prevent prompt injection? How do I get into scenarios where protect my vector database? Basically, how do I prevent all the AI that's happening? And that includes the shadow IT. There is a bunch of shadow IT that runs in the enterprise as well. How do I cover all of this from an AI security perspective? Also becomes an important control that you bring in.
So I spoke about building blocks. Now you've extended that to building pillars as well. And now, and because we do have to wrap up, let's try to encapsulate our entire discussion by building the entire building, so as to speak. So let's start with some takeaways from our discussion. Perhaps in a line or two, we could encapsulate what we've learned, what we think is most important by way of our discussion today, and what is most significant. I'll start with you, Mr. Mittal.
So now I'll try to put that into an example. So if
Mhm.
you put a cleaner fuel in the car, there are more chances that you will reach your destination on time, and less chances of car getting breakdown, and the car will like go for a longer years. So in same case with the AI, the
Mhm.
cleaner the data is, there are more chances that your output would be good. It will be bang on. You are able to sell your products, you are able to sell your services,
Mhm.
and that's how you are able to build the trust. And on top of it, you have to look at all the compliances and governance and regulatory aspect around it.
True, and that's a great example about cleaner fuel because it not only helps the driver but also the entire environment,
Right.
right? Which is applicable when it
True,
comes to
very true.
data as well. Thank you for that. Very well explained, Mr. Pandey.
Yeah, I think it has been very insightful discussion, and I really learned many of the things and different aspects and all. But if I have to summarize it, I will say that the foundational blocks for any modern
Mhm.
data architecture, that is a must. If that is there, and with that, if you have a right transparency and governance, the part of that, and you also have the lineage along with the enterprise data catalog,
Mhm.
which automatically curate the data and takes care of all other things. Probably, if these are in place, adopting to the data journey and leading to the AI journey becomes much easier in terms of cost, in terms of compliance, and also in terms of benefit. Yes.
Absolutely. You clean your data and your AI journey ultimately is
Yes.
going to be faster and easier.
Right.
Yeah,
Mr.
my
Pandey.
insightful would be, for my business to grow, responsible AI is must.
Mhm.
And because then only I can offer a best in class personalized customer experience or
Yes.
service to my customers. For that to work, underlying data
Mhm.
governance or the data patterns models are must. And in the is always the need is the real time data, relevant information. Real time you have, but it has to be relevant for the
Mhm.
customer at that particular moment.
Correct.
Then only he will come to you and take that product and service,
Yes.
and then only our business will grow. So that is what which is important for us to do it. In addition, also we have to see what is working well, what is
Mhm.
not working well.
Mhm.
So what is working well, we should see how to go to the next level.
Mhm.
What is not working well, we have to improve and bring it to working well, so that we what are the models we are bringing. It's not that it will be 100% accurate. It is a journey.
True.
It will start with some percentage and then over the period. So we have to keep investing on the data and also work with the customer in mind, then how it is helping us in increasing our business, and ensure it is responsible and compliant, so that even we take small steps, it has to be right, and which is regulated, taken forward, everybody in trust.
Yes. You said a very important point there about it not being a one-time practice or a one-time
We have to
checkbox.
keep re-engineering
Absolutely. It
all
needs to
the
be
processes
continuous. Very well said,
continuously.
sir. Mr. Naik.
So, two key takeaways. The first thing is about AI and agentic AI is the future, and the future is now. I think a second key takeaway, just taking a cue from what Vishal said, responsible AI is for responsible business.
Absolutely. The future is now. Responsible AI for responsible business, and we covered so many aspects of it today. And it's becoming very clear that all organizations here and perhaps others as well, if they are responsible, don't just view compliance and security as a checkbox, but are actually embedding it into their practices to make sure that it's not just the customer who benefits, but ultimately their business in the long run as well. So thank you for this very insightful discussion. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us today. And thank you to you for watching this. And remember to catch our other episodes of the Data Differentiator that's brought to you by ETCIO in association with IBM.